You ready for some philosophical questions in between?
Sure.
Is a lie still a lie if everyone believes it to be true?
No. No, it's actually yes, but...
Are
We'll
you
go with
sure?
I mean, I'm trying to think of an example for both situations. I mean, like, what if the lie is that you're a good person, but everyone believes you're a good person?
No. Are you a good person?
I don't know anymore. What do people believe? I need everyone to tell me.
Do we actually have free will, or are all our choices just the inevitable result of our past experiences in biology?
Apparently our choices are made, like, microseconds before our brain actually reacts and does the thing that we were thinking of doing.
I
So
mean,
we act out before we think about it when doing it. And I don't mean like if you oh, I'm gonna drink this soda. So you grab the drink and drink it. You actually made the choice before you even thought about picking the soda up and drinking it. Like, as it's just, I forgot how where I saw it, but yeah, it's apparently we make that choice before we make the choice.
I think the other part of it, like, fine, this is philosophical. We'll get into this. So, time is a dimension that we experience, right?
Yeah.
Which means that outside of time, there is no time, and everything that has or is going to happen has already happened. We just haven't experienced it yet.
Okay.
So therefore, you're not making a choice in the sense of causing something to happen. You're just causing what is going to happen to happen. It's already happened. It just hasn't happened for you. But you're still the one making the choice. It's just that you have already made it.
I think that would come down to you still don't have the free will. Like, it's happened. So.
Right.
Well,
But
I mean, like,
just because something's happened doesn't mean you don't have free will.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. You just still... It happened because you picked it. I don't know, like, that's... Well, because that's... I've actually thought about that a lot, because the old argument is always, oh, well, do we have free will, or is it everything predetermined? I don't know, that's just always the answer I've held on that one.
Because, I mean, like, even if my body goes, all right, you're thirsty, before my brain really recognizes it and tells me to reach for the soda to drink it, I could then go, you know what, I've had enough soda for now. Even though I'm thirsty, I'm not going to drink it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm coming from with, like, the study or whatever. That was already like, your brain. You think that you chose not to drink it, but your brain had already decided. You'd already done it. Like, it's just the process of you thinking that you want to do that or don't want to do that.
Well, like, there's also the aspect of, and this is something that I find easier to, like, think about it in this terms just as a writer. So, you have a character, you want them to wind up in position X. Well, your job then is to go back and make sure that everything that happens to them, everything they do, lands them in a spot to land in position X logically, as opposed to just making some, like, grand turnabout. You don't want to season 8 Games of Thrones it. You want it to make sense. And so, yeah, they're still making all the choices. You just want those choices to lead to a logical plan. So if, I guess if you want to call it your destiny is to wind up in place X, then you're still making the choices, just everything around those choices and everything go in a specific direction. I yield my time.
So if reality or time is just our perception of it, how do we know anything exists beyond our own minds?
We don't.
A lot of argument for that, actually.
We actually don't. We don't know.
I guess in a certain sense, really, it's not.
Our perception of reality is so easily manipulated. You guys could just not even be real. I could be the only person that actually exists. I don't know.
Oh, technically, you don't even know you exist.
Right, exactly.
What if
Like,
you're just a
there's
sophisticated computer program that thinks it exists?
Exactly. There's so like we're so easily manipulated, really.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, even just from a spiritual aspect, to put it in like gamer terms, this all is just like the tutorial level. It's a very long 80-year tutorial that roughly that you got to go through, but it's a very long character creation process. It's very complicated.
So then, does time exist independently, or is it just a way for us to make sense of change?
That's kind of an interesting concept. I guess I would say that. I guess I consider it more to be like time is kind of like gravity. It affects where it has, authority, if I could use that term.
well, time is the fourth dimension, right?
Yeah, it's the fourth dimension.
As we perceive it.
Yes.
Right.
So is it something that
Complicated.
exists entirely independent of our own creation? Or is it just our own personal way that we have societally made up to make sense of change?
Oh, do you mean that like time essentially was just created by the human experience?
Yes.
I think it's something that exists on its own. Because there still has to be, without time, you don't have an order of things happening. Well, so like I'm thinking in terms of like the Big Bang, right?
Yeah.
Taking the moment that the speck explodes or whatever it was, the nothingness becomes everything. Then all the atoms start pulling together and they form electrons and neutrons and all that kind of stuff. All that is happening. I mean, it's happening over the course of like a fucking 1/1,000,000th of a nanosecond or whatever it is, but still, it's happening in a frame of time. And so, if time didn't exist, that couldn't happen that way.
Or is that just our way of making sense of how the Big Bang happened? Did it just happen? Did it just not exist and then exist?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly. Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's just that case of like anything you look at. I mean, even in well, because if time, huh?
Thunking.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I guess let's play the other side of the aisle here. If essentially, I guess let's put it this way again, so we can do it from a spiritual perspective. If Earth was primed for humanity, but nothing actually went. The world timer doesn't start until Adam and Eve are crafted.
Okay.
Crafted their Minecraft bench. Essentially.
I'm following so far.
But yeah, I mean, think of, like in terms of like a speed run. It doesn't start until you click go and you stage 1 or whatever pops up. You don't count the time up till then.
Well, I guess from our own perception, from a spiritual, if we're looking at it through a spiritual lens, do we think time exists for God?
No.
No.
So then if he is the omniscient being that we perceive him to be, and that is the end-all be-all, then how could time exist? How could it not be a construct that we have made to make sense of change?
I just took it essentially as something that affects our universe to the limits such as it exists.
Say that one again.
I just took it. I always just thought of it as something that affects our universe to the limits of its existence, but not necessarily beyond
following that one.
Let's say that there was another universe out there. Their laws and their physics and their everything else don't necessarily have to correlate with ours. And so I guess since time is a dimension, I've always just looked at it as time exists and functions in our universe the way it does. If it is a force of nature, if it's not just a human construct, then it exists as a force of nature, but that might only affect our universe.
So it is then, therefore, something that acts independently.
If it is, I'm not. I don't. This is one I don't have a strong stance on either way.
Brain hurty.
Brain hurty.
All right, welcome to Theology 102.
Yeah.
Yo, turn in your homework. Brain hurty.
in between Love is War episodes, just, ponder the existence of reality.
No, I love questions. I've actually never really thought about time being a construct of the collective human mind before. I've often thought about again, to put it in the spiritual perspective, heaven and God exist outside of time, but I always took time to be a natural phenomenon as opposed to a construction. That's a really interesting idea.
So, in the lens of science, if consciousness is just a series of chemical reactions, then what makes a person more real than a machine?
Okay, so if consciousness is just the chemical reactions, then
Just a
really
consequence
there's
of brain activity and chemical reactions within the brain, then what differentiates us from machines?
ultimately it's just the way that information is transferred. Ours would just be transferred organically, theirs is electronically. Outside of that, there really is no difference, scientifically speaking. That's kind of that's what I thought that game Become Human was going to tackle, and just never really did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, same thing like Fallout 4 kind of brings up that issue. It doesn't really ever say anything about it. But the synths there are essentially, they become human. They have emotions, they have desires. In every way you would expect a human to express a bit of humanity, they express humanity. And if the only way you measure it is by those signals, then technically, yeah, you could have a machine that's a human.
Yeah, I know there's different media and different games and stuff that sort of tackle that. So in your guys' opinion, if artificial intelligence becomes basically indistinguishable from a human mind, does it then deserve rights?
Yes,
Ugh.
I do. Yes, I believe that. Yes.
You
That's so
believe it does?
complicated.
I believe they, even if they are a created construct of our own design, if we gave them the ability to feel, that's our fault. We would have to give them the same rights as us. That's just how it works.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Is because, and this is where it gets weird, is because they're not actually feeling; they're just
Correct, but
experiencing the feeling of feeling. If I
Yes,
can say
Yeah,
that.
they believe that they're feeling.
and that is unfortunately where the problem arises. We fucked that up by giving them that ability to feel, and if we don't, if we give them the same feelings and thoughts and feelings that we have, we're gonna have a problem if we don't give them rights. I fucking guarantee you.
So, did you
Because
play Fallout 4 out of curiosity?
I did.
Me?
At least.
Both of you.
Yes.
No, I played here and there, and I've watched mainly Neo actually play it, but
Neo, who did you go with?
I never did that part. I put like 300 hours in the game, and I didn't even.
You never beat the main quest?
Nope, sure didn't.
What the fuck did you do for 300 hours?
A lot. There's a lot to do.
I mean, up until, was it 5 years ago or something, I had played a shit ton of Skyrim and never actually beaten the game.
That's fair. The reason I ask is because if you side with the Institute, part of your responsibility is to go track down synths who are going haywire.
Yeah.
And again, that like I described, they're basically feeling emotions, and they'll oftentimes beg you not to take them back. And you can choose to override their programming and essentially factory reset them.
That's not fair.
I mean, that's once they're
literally
reset, they don't give a
lobotomizing them.
shit. It's a very
yes,
morally
but that's
dubious.
lobotomizing them.
That's the
No.
thing though, and you because it's your son who's actually doing that, and so you argue with him, and he's like, yeah, but they're not actually feeling anything. They're essentially pretending.
Yes, but it still doesn't matter, unfortunately. Do you guys know the Matrix?
Yes.
How the
Yeah.
Matrix came to be, right?
Mm.
The Matrix happened entirely because humanity didn't look at the AI they create, the robots and AI that they created, as human beings. And after it all started because of one service robot that worked. He was basically a unpaid butler for this family, and he apparently didn't do something that they liked, and they're like, "Well, we're just gonna have you turned off," and that's essentially to that robot gonna kill him, right?
Out of curiosity,
And-
because I only know the movies. Where are you pulling this from? I'm not saying
This
you're
is
wrong.
from
I'm just.
this is from the Animatrix.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Yeah, that was the 4 anime like in between.
yes. So he didn't want to be turned off because that's essentially killing him, right? And as he put it, in his own self-defense, he killed them because they were going to shut him off. And they're just like, okay, well, we've never had this happen before. So they had an entire trial and all that shit for a robot, and many people were just like, that's really stupid. It's just a robot. Just turn him off. But now there are, you're creating a split, and they eventually found him guilty and dismantled him. Throughout for the big portion of the beginning, the machines, as they're just referred to as, they tried to work with humanity, and there was this basically a culling of almost all the robots that they could, because they realized shit was going wrong. They're like, we need to get rid of them. In the streets, wiping out robots that don't defend themselves, to the point where the ones that were left said, okay, we're just gonna leave. So they abandoned all the cities, and everyone lost their robots and everything, and the robots went out to the Middle East and made 01, which is their city. They made their own city. The world's nations were just like, okay, whatever, fuck it, I don't give a shit. Until 01 started advancing technology, making the first hover vehicles. Their economy was out through the fucking roof, and jealous humanity was just like, nah, we're not gonna be peaceful. So then they started the war, and from there on, it went downhill. That's what I was saying. Like, you can't. If something has feelings, whether it's fake or not, it's gonna fight for itself.
Here's one that I remember thinking this when I was fairly young, along the same lines of the whole reality and time question. So, if reality, or at least our perception of it, is shaped by our own language, are we limiting our own understanding of existence by the language we use?
I mean, I would say definitely to answer the last part, absolutely. I think that's clear just between even human languages. How many times, does somebody put forth a concept and you're like, oh, well, we don't really have a clean translation for that in our language. It's a concept that we just don't have a word for. So yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely that affects your comprehension of what's around you if you don't have an understanding or a word for a thing.
And that's exactly, I remember that specifically is what spawned that thought, or that brain germ initially, was, that some concepts or things in other languages just don't translate. So if that's the case, then how, we would almost have to be limiting our own existence,
Right.
our understanding of existence, by the language we use.
Well, I mean, a good example too, again, to bring right back to a spiritual thing. If you read the Bible academically, you come away with a total different understanding of everything it's saying than if you read it spiritually. even though you are both reading words that you logically understand.
Mhm.
I mean, a great example is when Jesus was feeding the 5,000 people, and he told them, "Okay, well, if you come and drink my blood and taste my flesh, you'll never hunger again." And everyone was like, "This dude's talking about cannibalism out of fucking nowhere." But yeah, that's because he was speaking in a way they didn't understand. So I think that's a golden example of, like you said, a limit of understanding, a limit of comprehension.
If we never had to struggle, could we ever truly appreciate happiness?
No.
I believe we would think we would appreciate it.
Would solace or happiness even have any meaning if the contrary did not exist?
It wouldn't have significant meaning. Wouldn't, Well, I mean, I guess let's put this in a human term. Comfort is relative. We have insanely comfortable lives compared to the people in third world countries, but it's not often we actually think and stop to ourselves and go, yeah, you know what? I'm comfortable. I'm, well fed. I'm well taken care of. We focus now on our own struggles and things. It's only whenever you stop and examine things with a wider eye that we're like, yeah, you know what? We actually are pretty fucking abundant.
Yeah. So, if everyone acted in their own self-interest, would society function better or collapse?
I think it would manage. I don't think it would be any better. I definitely don't think it would be any better, but I think it would still manage. Because
I would argue most people, as it stands right now, are already acting out of
that was what I was going to say.
self-interest.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think it would affect very much. Because people that are less self-inclined typically aren't people that are having a huge amount of influence. You get some societies and charities and things like that, but those really aren't the power play of your country typically.
Mm. Do you guys think that, in a wide lens, looking at the what the bigger picture, do you guys think that, what am I trying to say here? Do you guys think that the laws of morality are purely subjective?
yes.
Or can anything be truly right or wrong?
No. I don't think they can.
So this
Truly
is something that,
wrong.
like, again, this is something I know I've talked to you about before, but like, that's why I take issue with somebody saying they just want to be a good person.
Yeah.
Is because, like, what does that even mean? Who's judging if you're a good person? Because if you're a good person, it's based on any sort of earthly standard. It's inherently flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's something that unfortunately infects a lot of the Christian mindset is, oh, well, I'm a better Christian than that guy. It's like, that's not, no, stop it. That's not how you measure good.
Right.
Yeah, I would say if your guiding system is anything earthly, then yeah, no, morality is inherently subjective and it has no meaning.
So do you think that, so what's your stance on, because I know this is sort of a topic of discussion, and I believe it's Islam, because they sort of dictate how good of a person you are, or how good of or how faithful you are based on your deeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just because you're doing good earthly deeds, you don't look at it, or they don't look at it in a lens of, like you just described, it's something that's been dictated by a higher power. So like you said, you're not a better Christian than the next person just because you do more good earthly deeds than them, whereas in Islam, I believe it's Islam, that's almost one of the things that they very much measure your worth.
Mm-hmm.
But not because you're doing good earthly deeds, because it's been something that's been dictated by God that you must do.
Okay, so I guess we could call it like, they use almost like a form of legalism in their spiritual measurement, if I could put it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's complete nonsense, because the moment you apply a man-made measurement to how good an act is, you're no longer following a will. You know, I mean, a great example, again, to use the parable of the rich man and the poor woman who donate to the church. The rich man comes in and gives, I forget what it was, I think like 10,000 shekels. The poor woman comes in and drops in 1 talent because that's all she had. And he asks, who gives more? Well, sure, from the earthly, you know, outward perspective, the man who gave a shit ton of money is the one who gave more, but the woman gave all she had, and therefore her heart was more turned towards the Lord. So you can't sit there and purely apply I guess a man-made measurable, you know, system to something like that. I mean, you know, I mean, what if somebody's a teacher? You know, how do you measure how good a teacher someone is, and how, you know, does that act stand up to somebody who, say, goes and tries to cure diseases? You know, that's something that I don't know how you even begin to measure that. Now, if the argument is through a lack of acts or a lack of any sort of works, are you then being poor in your faith? I could see that being an argument. Because that's something that James talks about at length. He says, you know, I forget exactly how he phrases it, but basically he says, you know, I will show you my faith in the Lord by my deeds, by my acts, by my work, and therefore you will know what I'm doing is from God. And so, yeah, I can see that there's an argument where if you are a saved person, you should be performing some kind of work, but I don't know how you would measure that and say that one person's work is better than another, or that you're improving your standing in some way through that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know exactly how they measure it, or even if they. I mean, they do measure it, but I don't know how.
Well, I mean, because that to me sounds like the Pharisee practices. Because that's exactly what they did. It was like, oh, I'm, you know, a holy person because XYZ, because I do this, and I only take so many steps on the Sabbath, and I, you know, keep whatever, I sacrifice this animal and that thing and this thing and that thing and that thing, and there was no actual spirituality in any of it by the time they were done.
So do you guys think there's, I guess a little bit on that note, there's, how would I phrase this, I guess, does intent matter behind charitable acts?
Are you talking in terms of...
If it's selfish or selfless?
No, I mean, are you talking in terms of judging it from a spiritual perspective or from an earthly?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, earthly, there's always the argument that the result has to speak to some of it. And I don't like that, but I also understand that.
This is along the lines of one of the debates me and Mikey had a couple months ago, where, you know, does it matter if Elon Musk is donating $10 billion to a charity because he genuinely wants to help the charity and what it's about, or does it matter that he's helping the charity and all the people because of it, because he wants a tax break?
Yeah,
honestly, I think it matters, but at the same time, in the long run, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, because if we're judging it from a spiritual perspective, do I think that that's something that, you know, benefits his soul? No.
Yeah.
Do I think it's something that's a useful resource that's going to be nice, that'll help things? Absolutely. I think that's great. I guess part of it too is it depends on the expectation of gratitude. Because I'm almost of the mind that no good work or something that you're doing should be made known, if that makes sense.
Mm.
You know, the moment you're like, oh, I donated $5,000 to charity, it's like, okay, nice, but also not something I feel like you really can brag about.
Yeah.
Just here's a just an interesting take on it. There is no selfless act, ever. Absolutely none.
So you don't think there's anything?
No. This isn't exactly what I think, but it's an interesting way of looking at it. There isn't a selfless act because no matter what you're doing it because of what you want.
So you think that?
No,
Well,
again,
again, yeah,
I
you
get
don't
what you
think
mean.
it, but yeah,
No, it's just something I've heard. Like
that nobody can ever purely act selflessly. Every action is driven by some form of self-interest.
yes, like even if it's like some people want to donate, like Sherlock said, so that they can look good. Obviously, that's still selfish, right? Somebody can help somebody because they want the person to appreciate that they helped them. That's also selfish. Somebody can do it because they want to be uh in a better eye of God, right? They want God to look at them more favorably because they're being selfless, right? That's still a selfish act.
So no
Like no matter what,
transaction in human history has ever been, I'm going to help this person simply because I want to help them and no other
yeah, like
reason.
even if
I'm
you don't
getting
want
nothing out
any,
of this. I'm not getting satisfaction. I'm not getting money. I'm not getting you know, acceptance by God. I'm getting nothing out of this. I'm simply helping them because I want to help them.
yeah, it's um even if you're doing it like you don't want them to say, "Oh man, thank you. I owe you," like nothing. Like you don't want anything from the person. Even then, it's still a selfish act of, because it regardless, you'll feel good about doing that, right? It's like, "Oh man, I helped that person." Even if you don't want any recognition, you're doing it because you want to.
Okay, so like, if you're gonna go that deep with it, essentially what you're saying is there's no action people make that they don't choose to make.
Yeah, it's
Well, no, that's what it is. There's no action
yes.
people make that they don't choose to make.
It is, but like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not like super.
Yeah, well, because
deep,
if there's something that doesn't motivate you on some level to make the choice, then yeah, you're not
like,
gonna make it.
If you could somehow have helped somebody, like intended to help them, but had just done it in the most just did it. Maybe like it's weird. Like you'd have to be basically lobotomized in a sense when making the choice to help somebody. Like
Yeah, that's the thing. But if you were lobotomized in that sense, I don't think, like, if you were emotionally lobotomized, I guess let's call it.
Yeah,
I don't think you would even register the need for someone else to have help.
yeah. That's
So
why.
are you saying an act of pure selflessness comes from accident?
Yes, it could. Like that would be the way where it would be selfless, is if it's just you did it.
I think it matters on what we're defining as selfish
silly,
or selfless, but
doesn't being selfless require some form of conscious decision to do the thing?
That's why I'm coming with the whole where I'm looking into this like it's how can someone be selfless without wanting to be selfless? Yeah, it's a strange thing. Like
so is that possible, you think?
I honestly, it's strange because this is another one of those like fucking completely random and out there points that someone made. This is actually something that somebody did. Is he proved that there is no. Apparently, it was proven there is no selfless act, and because the guy was intent on proving this, and apparently through his experiments, he is like apparently I don't know what kind of scientifically.
yeah, I mean, granted, I'm not familiar with the study, but just like from what you said, it just.
I'm actually gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm not familiar with the study, but just from what you're saying, it sounds like the guy just proved that, yeah, people won't do anything without motivation in some way. Which I would agree. Yeah, that basically goes back to physics. An object at rest will stay at rest until an outside force acts on it. Like,
apparently, I don't. I'd have to actually look for it and find out where the fuck this is. But a guy had he had proven that there is no selfless act, and it was accepted. Like the people that he had brought this up to, it's accepted. It's like, okay, that actually, it. Apparently, the guy had proven there's no selfless act, and then for the rest of his life, he tried to prove himself wrong.
Well, he's doomed from the start, because then he's getting out that he proved himself wrong.
Yes, that's like.
That's what I mean. That's why it's weird to bring it down to that specific of a level, I think. Because I mean, like, that's like saying, well, would you feed yourself if you didn't feel the hunger or need the energy? I mean, like, motivation is the only reason anything does anything.
I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this. So he supposedly proved that there is no such thing as a selfless act.
Because of how humanity is driven, you can't have a selfless act.
But
then he was trying to perform selfless acts
because
the rest of his life.
I would have to find it. I remember seeing this like fucking years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like Sherlock said, I think he would just be doomed from the start if he's supposedly
because then at
proven.
the point he's trying to disprove himself, which is a selfish act.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It's just something I had come across. I'm like, at the point it doesn't really matter, because if you are helping someone and you just want to do it because you want to feel good about helping them, if you're not asking anything from them, it's still a selfish act. Like, you're if you are losing something to give something to someone else, whether it be, I don't know, time, money, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
To gain nothing in return, even if you're doing it just to feel good about yourself, it's not going to matter to the person you're helping. They're not going to care. You help them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, if that's like, if you're getting to the point of, if it was conceivably possible for you to help somebody, really what you're asking is it possible to help somebody regardless of choice?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I guess. Also, this is a total side street, but the freeze frame is actually very relevant for this discussion.
Yes, it is. So here's one. If art exists or can exist without an audience, does it still have meaning?
I don't know. Even with an audience, it has no meaning.
I would completely disagree with that.
I just personally just think that, I mean, it just, like, I'm sure I can appreciate something and be like, yeah, I'm glad this exists. I still don't think it matters.
It might not have meaning to you, but it has meaning to people.
Yeah. That's also just me. I
mean, like, if a schizophrenic finds meaning in the pebbles on the sidewalk, I'm not going to say that I agree with them, but it's meaningful to them. Because I personally don't find art especially meaningful anyway. It's interesting to look at. I think it's cool, but I don't usually find a lot of meaning in it. But there are certainly people that do. The question of without an audience is kind of interesting, because are we presuming that includes the artist? Because I would argue that an artist usually finds more meaning in their work than the audience, even.
I hadn't thought about that, but the question was initially posed with the artist out of the picture, so to speak.
Okay, yeah. So if we're presuming, again, because this goes to the point of, I guess, if we're presuming no God, because God is also an artist, that there's just something beautiful that exists but goes unappreciated, does it have meaning? I guess I would say no.
I mean, just as we perceive it, space, the chances of us being alone in the world are astronomically low.
Right.
As well as and I say this in this way as we understand it,
Mhm.
that the chances of us being the only sentient and highly intelligent beings are also astronomically low. So, if that is the given case, do you believe that God has promised these other sentient beings the same salvation he's promised us?
So
That would be interesting.
I will say my answer is somewhat twofold. I think that it is astronomically low if you're looking at it from the perspective inward out, as in, there's this huge, vast universe. Our planet has life, so therefore, one of those other, however many millions out there might. I think it's less unlikely if you think about it from before the events of creation to afterward. I think that God is going to say, I want to have my creation with me, so therefore I'm going to give them a place, and I'm going to make it as infinite and vast and beautiful as I can. But that's just my thought on that. In terms of if there's other sentient life, has God promised them salvation? I honestly couldn't even begin to throw a guess at that.
Gotcha.
Fair.
I would almost think that he would have to.
I can definitely see the argument for that. Yeah, it's definitely not something where I'm going to say, no, you're wrong.
This one kind of goes along the aliens discussion, but
Aryans.
so if there were an advanced civilization that were to simulate our universe,
Mhm.
would their reality be any more real than ours?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No. His reality is what we're perceiving.
Yeah, I mean, because technically, our reality, if it is not a simulation, is still just our perception of everything.
Even if it is an illusion, it's our reality. Now, if it technically, yes, of course, it would be more real than ours is. But from our perspective, it is not. I mean, if all of a sudden the fucking government came out and was like, yeah, sorry guys, we found out we're actually just a simulation.
I think the only thing that's different in that point is that our simulation is controlled by other mortal, presumably beings, where instead of an immortal god.
I mean, it would be a complete collapse of society.
Oh, people would go nuts. That's a whole
like,
other.
Well, what's the fucking point? They could literally just shut us off like a fucking TV show.
Dude, if they haven't done it by now.
I don't know. We're pretty fucking entertaining.
Are we though?
I'm just saying, I wouldn't have greenlit Game of Thrones season 9. I wouldn't have greenlit
it. Maybe they would have, just to see how we would react. But they're pulling the strings.
We're certainly not perfect.
Look how great they like this show. What if we fuck it up? That'll be good entertainment.
That was a good question, though.
That's another one too, though. So, can something ever truly be perfect, or is perfection just an illusion shaped by our expectations?
Definitely just shaped by our expectations.
Again, it goes back to what your metrics are. Because as a Christian, godly is perfect to me. So is there a perfection? Yes. Is it something that I'm going to ever achieve in anything I do? No, because I'm human and flawed.
Gotcha.
This is a God question, right? So, God is completely omniscient and omnipotent, I think it is.
Yep.
Like, he could do anything, right?
Mhm.
So, can he create something so
Don't
heavy
you ask
that
this stupid fucking question. Don't you
that
do
he
it.
can't pick up? I'm asking the question. Yeah.
So, okay. Let me ask you this.
I'm going to throw my answer out anyways.
Okay, please.
I would say yes. He can create something that is too heavy for him to pick up, but he can still pick it up. That's just how it is.
Okay. You know what? That's a better answer than I thought you were going for.
It is going to be both ways because.
But how can you have two true positives?
That because he's God. That's the whole thing.
Well, I was going to say, actually, there's a perfect biblical comparison in this. Is that part of the reasons that the Jews and the Sumerians were all pissy with each other. So yeah, because the Jews were like, we have the Holy Land, we're God's chosen people, blah 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 blah. You Sumerians are dirty dirties, you don't get to cross the River Jordan. And the Sumerians are like, oh well, we live on Mount Sinai, the holy mountain, and this is where we believe the Messiah is going to appear. And the Jews are like, no, the Messiah is going to come from Jerusalem. And so they had this squandering with each other because both had biblical backings. And so they kept arguing on where Christ was going to appear, where he was going to come from. Well, Christ came from the temple, but immediately from the temple onto Samaria, where he spoke to the woman at the well and revealed that he was the Messiah. And so, did he come from Jerusalem, or did he come from, or did he reveal himself in Jerusalem, or did he reveal himself on Mount Sinai? Yes. So, I guess that's the way I would look at that. Is I don't know with the human logic, I can't work out what the yesent would be in that scenario, but there is one, I'm sure, and I'm sure that's what the answer would be.
Yeah, that is a big thing that people like to throw out there. Is
Yeah,
if
that's
God
the go-to. Yeah,
is all knowing and all powerful, and he can create anything. And can he create something that too heavy for him to pick up?
I love that attitude. That mindset of like, oh yes, congratulations, buddy. You with your human brain have outsmarted a deity. Way to go.
Yes. But yeah, so it would come down to, yes, he could create.
Well, it's not necessarily outsmarting a deity. It's the
it's outsmarting the human perception of,
yeah,
unlimited.
Because if you were to have this conversation with God, if you were to just come down and just be like, okay, I spawned this dumbbell that weighs sideways 8 as it pertains to your understanding, I can't lift it, and then 10 seconds later, either he just lifts it, or he changes absolutely nothing about it, and then you go, well, what about now? And he goes, yeah, I can.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Well, like there are certain things the human brain just can't actually comprehend. My favorite go-to is the example of infinity. You can know what infinity means, but you can't actually compartmentalize it in your brain. The brain's just not built to understand what that means.
Right. We can't see the number, therefore we can't perceive it. That's why it's given an artificial symbol, essentially.
Right.
And then we just, try to explain, well, it just goes on forever.
Exactly, yeah. And you're like, well, how far does forever go? That's what I mean. The brain just doesn't, it doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's actually a big reason why, if you imagine, take DBZ, right? Vegeta and Frieza, when they got a hold of the Dragon Balls, they wanted the wish for immortality, right? Live forever.
Yes.
Do you really want that, though?
No, I've talked about that.
It could be great. That could be awesome for, thousands, millions, billions of years, and then all of a sudden, the heat death of the universe.
Exactly.
Now you get to just fucking sit there in nothing for the end of until the
you essentially get to sit in a black hole for however many fucking eons.
You would actually outlive black holes.
Exactly.
You would be in nothing. Nothing would exist. It would just be nothing, and you just get to be there.
I mean, wouldn't that just be worse than hell?
Oh yeah,
theoretically.
Well, actually, that would probably be pretty close to what hell is actually.
Because hell is an absence of God.
That actually
hell is
almost,
total separation from God. That's almost exactly what.
Yeah.
And you just get to be there.
I don't know if you live through that. Does God come and scoop you up and be like, all right, I'm gonna leave you there? I don't know what happens.
No, I feel like you, because I think it almost comes as a slight, giving yourself immortality. Even if it's something that was put in place, allowing you to make that choice, you still made the wrong one. And I feel like God would just be like, "Yep, this is what you wanted. I don't know what to tell you."
And that's the weird thing.
But
Like,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, try to picture living in nothingness, because I can't picture living without time, or like even breathing. My brain, I can understand what the words mean, but my brain doesn't know how to comprehend it.
Spiritually, wouldn't something like wishing for immortality / invulnerability, or both, however you want to look at it, wouldn't that be such a slight against God that he would just send you to hell? Because I mean, at that point, if we're talking about the heat death of the universe happens, and you're still in this perceived universe, God for eternity now has to keep this going to keep you there. Otherwise, you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I get what you mean.
He essentially has to keep this reality alive, which was doomed to die eons ago.
Yeah, because you wanted to be special.
But yeah, because you wanted to be special. Would he not just move you to hell?
Also, just as a small note, and I totally get it because it's just phrasing, but technically, it's not so much that God sends people to hell as people choose it. But that's
but in this particular,
case, I get what you mean. Yeah, I don't. That might be what hell is, honestly. I mean, it's definitely similar to what hell is. I don't know if that's literally what it is. It might be.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, that's all cool.
So there's a
Immortality.
possibility that hell is just sending us to the end of time.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Have you ever heard the time travel theory in Revelations? It's the theory that John the Apostle, never died. That he instead saw so vehemently into the future that he was essentially picked up out of time and will reappear at the time of Revelation.
Nope, that one's completely new to me.
I'm not going to say that has any backing. I'm not going to say it's something I believe in. It's a theory that's out there. We are now the people sitting there smoking weed on the couch, having a conversation.
Yes, we are.
People watching this Let's Consume are going to be really confused.
This is just something random. I was just like,
oh no, I'm glad you brought this up because this has been very fun. I love philosophical debate. Philosophical. I'll take an extra large philosophical, please.
Do you guys believe that if humans did not exist, that the universe would be any less beautiful?
This kind of goes back to the if no one's looking at art question.
Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines, but
honestly, yes. Not visually, but in terms of what's happening, of the story of life, I guess, if I could put it that way, I think it would absolutely be less potent.
Even with all the crazy shit we do.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not gonna say it's all good. It's not, but
yeah. I mean, like furries. God.
I was about to bring up Stannis burning his fucking kid. You just went, oh, furries.
Yuck.
Yeah, no. In terms of the universe being a story, I think, as weird as it sounds, humanity has to exist for it to be beautiful, even if it's sometimes horrible.
I would agree with that. Do you guys think you can ever truly, fully understand a person?
No.
I don't think you can ever truly, fully understand yourself.
Yeah, I sure fucking don't.
I was attacking it from the perspective of because we can never truly experience another person's perspective.
Oh, like fully understand things the way they do.
Yes.
No, I think you can get closer if you have good empathy and understanding of the situation, but never 100%. Because that's the one thing people really can't comprehend is what it's like to not be them.
So you mentioned empathy. Does that prescribe itself to the same? Since empathy and love and such are technically biological mechanisms, does that make them any less profound?
I would say no, because even if the trigger is biological, it's still what's expounded upon in the human heart or the human mind. Because it poignance, I mean, I guess just because you can break down a painting into the series of colors that are used on the canvas doesn't mean that it doesn't display, kind of a beauty and vision once it's complete.
They say knowledge is always evolving. So do you guys think, given our point in time, that we can ever truly have an original quote unquote thought?
That's something that's been debated quite a lot, actually. I guess since this is right along the same branch, where does thought come from? And I don't mean like a responsive thought. I mean that out of nowhere thought, like that thought, like that wasn't even remotely related to what you're doing or what you're thinking or what you're seeing.
Yeah, there are some that are just kind of instinctual or guttural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are those original thoughts? Or is that also something that's been programmed and taught?
Let me compare this in a parable real quick. Say I write a song and discover that I use the exact same chord, progression, timing, everything else as another song, but I've never heard that song. Like, never once heard it, never heard it in a coffee shop, anything. Is it still an original work?
No.
By you, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Human race, no.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's why it's so weird. Like, I mean, because could you have an original thought? Sure, in terms of like to you.
I still think that there's an unlimited amount of original thought. Even if it's just an ever so slight minor variation, it's still original. Like, you can make the exact same song, right? But if any slight variation in a note is different, it's original.
Well, to that point, do we even think it's possible for two people who have never met each other to, due to the theory of probability, they would say it's possible. But do you think that two different people, let's say one, they're each on the other side of the world from each other, they've not heard any of the same music, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for them to come up with the exact same song? Exact same lyrics, exact same tempo, exact same everything?
Like you said, on the balance probability, sure, it's possible.
Yeah, but I think it's astronomically low.
Yeah, it's astronomical. I think the big thing, like you said, is when it comes to where you live, the music you heard growing up, because so much of art is your experience and what is spoken to you, then personified in the form of what you're making.
So, which a lot of that is taught and programmed and then bleeds over into the next person's thought process.
Right.
So let's say it's, two different cultures that have never had that interaction before. This culture on this side of the earth, has never heard music as far as the other side of the earth has perceived it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it then possible for those two people to create the exact same song?
Yeah, I think it's the case of it just gets more and more insanely unlikely, but it would always technically be possible.
I mean, there's a very. I mean, it comes down to like the saying. Your chances of being mauled by a gorilla are very, very unlikely, but they're never zero. Like, and
Yeah.
there's just the possibility of something happening is always possible.
I mean,
there's
technically,
very
like,
few
it's
things
possible an alien could create the same song as a human on Earth. I wouldn't put money on that shit, but
Yeah, and their entire perception of music might be different. Like, but it just you never know. You get that.
But you guys
that
are saying
oddball
there
that's
is still technically the possibility that they could come up with the exact same song.
yes,
yeah, it's the Jim Carrey thing. So you're telling me there's a chance?
yes.
Yeah, I would
Even,
agree
like,
with that.
Even with like take aliens, right? They don't have English, right?
We don't know that.
But hold on. But it could be they could just by pure chance make a song or just be making a bunch of noise, right? That happens to come out in a human language.
Perfectly.
Yes. It's still a chance. Like it could be like an actual like percent of 0.0 to the power of negative 500
And I'll tell you,
percent
like,
chance, but it still happened.
I'll go as far to say this. According to the many worlds theory, there's not only a chance, there's a universe out there where that's the case. In fact, there's an almost infinite number of universes out there where that.
Where it's already happened, kind of thing. Yeah.
I hate the many worlds theory so much.
Yes, but it's yeah. I mean,
So along the same lines of one of the first ones I asked, which was, if can we ever truly appreciate happiness if suffering doesn't exist? If suffering is necessary for growth, should we ever try and suppress it or eliminate it?
yes. It like it's a difficult one because the point of a society is to make life easier for everybody, right? As much as you can. And if society has the choice, the chance to get rid of suffering, they should. Even if, in the long run, it technically isn't better for that society. Because you're not being
So
able to
are we truly then eliminating suffering if we're then by proxy eliminating happiness?
Ow.
Or reducing, I should say, not eliminating, but just stub your toe or something?
No, I get random foot itchies sometimes, and they're so itchy they're painful.
Well, it's because they're so deep you can't actually itch them properly. that's fucking. I hate that.
They're rare. I get them
Yeah.
maybe once every like 2 weeks, but they're so fucking itchy. Sorry.
No, you're good. See, once he eliminates this suffering, he will be happy.
Yes.
He will be able to better appreciate not having a painful, itchy foot.
And I will for like maybe an hour, and then I'll forget about it. That's part of the argument. Well, I mean, actually, that's part of the argument that the Amish have for not using technology. That, like, even though it's more convenient, it ultimately makes you weaker and unhappy.
Mhm.
Actually, they did a scientific study on this, and they found that, like, you are happier in a grocery store with less choice.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck!
Yeah, I heard about a lot of studies on analysis paralysis. Here's another one that's always kind of bothered me ever since I was young. because I remember my grandfather talking about this. So by nature, just via kind of the telephone effect, our brains tend to edit memories every time we recall them.
Yep.
So, can we ever truly trust our own past?
No.
Not 100%, no. That's part of why eyewitness testimony is actually treated with a lot of suspect.
And it's also why we got the what's that effect where you could have sworn something was one way?
The Mandela
The
effect.
Mandela effect.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and like the other part of it too is like not only do you not remember things 100% accurately, even from your perspective, things aren't often correct, like factually.
Mhm.
So even if you had total perfect recall, you would still remember things wrong. I got one. Is it still morally acceptable to hold absolutely to a law if you know that there are rare exceptions to that law that would morally be correct?
State that one more time.
Is it morally right to stick to a law that applies, say, 98% of the time, but you know there's that 2% of the time where it doesn't, and where morally it would be right to not do that thing, but you still uphold that law for the other 98%? Essentially, to
Society,
never make an
yes.
exception.
Societally, yes. If you want a functioning society, the answer has to be yes, I think.
Yeah. You have to be unbiased.
That's fair.
It is what it is, kind of thing, you know.
I have one kind of on that note, but I see Sherlock has taken to the other room to brutally beat the itch out of his foot.
Die.
That must be what happened.
To be fair, I was peeing.
On your foot to make it feel better?
I'll be right back. What was yours?
So on that point, do you think, again, from a spiritual lens, that it would be ever okay in that theoretical 2% of the time, if it is for the greater good, to sin?
I guess it depends on the context of what we're defining sin by, and okay from which perspective. Well, you know, like let's take don't commit murder. Well, if somebody's attempting to shoot your family and you shoot them, it's still technically murder. But in that case, it's not what I would define as sin. So I guess if the question
Right,
is,
in that particular situation, yeah, I mean, but if you have, let's say a child locked themselves in the cabin of a train and is about to drive it off the rails, is it okay to, shoot the child to save the train full of 1,000 people?
that's where I think it comes into, can't really judge it from an earthly perspective. That's kind of why it goes into the matter of God knowing the heart and what was in the person's heart. I mean, in that scenario, would I personally say it would be okay? Yes, but presuming you don't have any other solution or whatever. If Vader had lived, should he still have been charged for war crimes?
100%.
Yes, I agree.
100%.
But not put to death.
No. And honestly, that is a much better parallel because of.
So wait. If Vader,
Yes.
not Anakin, Vader.
No. Anakin saved the game.
Okay. So, this is how this is. This is how this goes here. At the end of Return of the Jedi, Vader had only made a slight shift from the dark side. He was not entirely absolved of what he had done.
Mm-hmm.
He had only, if it wasn't for Luke, he would have never changed.
Right.
Ever. it would have never happened. He only changed for Luke because he wanted to save Luke. That was it.
Mhm.
He didn't really fall away from the dark side entirely. It's just in that moment it was a there we go. A selfish choice, honestly, to save his son instead of being stuck with a Palpatine. I mean, for one, he hated Palpatine. I mean, he did change enough that if he lived, he should be imprisoned for his rest of his life, but he shouldn't be put to death.
Right, I would agree with that.
And I don't think Luke would have wanted that either. Obviously, he wouldn't have. He in fact, I'm pretty sure Luke would. He was still a very driven by emotion individual. Would think that his father was entirely changed, if I'm being honest.
I gotta disagree, Neo. We've seen The Force Awakens, and we know that Vader's effect on the universe is only considered negative. So Luke didn't tell anyone shit.
Yeah, well,
That movie's...
I hate.
No,
this.
I get what you mean, though, yeah.
Yeah, so Vader, he see, that's also a really difficult choice too, because he is extremely powerful.
Well, that's the thing, right? The power comes from the risk of them going back and going uber evil again.
Yes,
That's what the
I mean,
threat is.
If he literally was just like, oh, no, you know what? Fuck this. I'm tired of being a prisoner.
Yeah, well, like, if we discovered, like,
Yeah.
if we discovered that in his first 100 years of life, which hopefully Disney's not listening because they'll do this, if we discover in our first 100 years of life that Yoda choked out people and got off on it while he was beaten off, by the end of his life, he's somebody that's so, solidified to the good that it's like, okay, yeah, he's powerful, but there's really not a risk of him, going back to that.
Yes.
That was not on my bingo card for the night.
That was not an idea, Disney. Sit down.
I just personally, I think that they should have a chance to redeem themselves in the sense that, and on a spiritual level, not really. They can't redeem themselves in the eyes of society. That's just not going to happen.
Agreed.
They got to pay for what they've done, but maybe not necessarily to death.
Well, the only reason not to death is just on the off chance that they might be able to renounce their sins spiritually.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, is it fair for what they've done? Oh, yeah, no. Way over. Like, I got a dumb one.
So,
with how sentient Pokemon are, would it be okay for them to be food?
Oh, that didn't go exactly where I thought it was going to go. All right.
No, I didn't go where you're thinking. I don't want to go near what you're thinking.
Stop it. Shut up.
To be food? No. Unfortunately, that's just not how that works. Thankfully, there are Pokemon and animals in that in Pokemon. So technically, you could just hunt regular animals and not Pokemon.
I mean, we already hunt and kill dolphins and eat them.
Yes, and that does not make it okay.
And a lot of them are arguably smarter than most Pokemon.
Yeah, I would still. I definitely have to go with no. They just, you can't.
That's fair.
So what level of
what level of sentience
do you draw the line at?
I guess.
So, okay, here's the problem is.
Damn.
Pokemon in the show can 100% understand what you're saying to them.
Exactly.
To the point where they can communicate with, pointing, like, oh, we need to go do this it's over here. They understand that, like, really well, and you can just be like, oh, you could be like, hey, you could literally be like, hey, point to point to Josh, and they just be like, oh, this guy right here. And they understand that. And it might even, and if you even ask them stupid questions like that, they would get frustrated with why you're asking such stupid questions.
So your
literally
line
on
is rational thought.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're literally, yes.
Well, I would say for me it comes to the point of sentience, because like Pokemon, like they actually are fucking like they can ponder things about their own life.
I think you're looking
like
for sapience. Because sentience and sapience are sapient life is ones that have have wisdom as it is.
Be quiet. I'm not talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
Not you.
Oh, okay.
Shut up, Neo.
Oh.
Sentience is the ability to express feelings, while sapience is the ability to think and. No, I mean sentience.
Well, because a dog that we have nowadays is sentient.
No, because sentience is the
well-
ability to experience. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it's a express. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Well, this is going to get even more deep. Do animals have feelings? Do they have emotions?
I think they certainly have emotions.
Are they limited to simple emotions? Are they? I think me and Neo talked about this recently. Are they capable of experiencing complex emotions?
Uh,
I guess it partially
complex
depends on what you
emotion?
define as a complex emotion, but
so
Love is a complex emotion.
yeah, I mean, I would say they're capable of feeling it if they're not capable of like reasoning with it, if that makes sense.
I think the
Empathy
only
is a complex emotion.
I think probably some of the only close animals for that are like dolphins. For
I mean, I
complex
think dogs
emotions.
experience a form of empathy. You know, they can, if you're in pain, they can look at you and feel that you're in pain. They'll try to help you feel better.
Yes, but I am not sure if that's is same as understanding the pain. Like
That's what I mean.
because
That's
any
different than
animal
reasoning.
will be like, oh, that's an injury. I can lick that to make it feel better. Like that's just they understand that, but it's not the same as being able to look at them and be like, I understand your pain. It's just
No, but I mean, like,
It's,
you know, if someone's like, you know, I mean, for example, if someone speaks another language and they're ill, you might not understand what's wrong with them, but you can still see that they're in pain and sympathize. I think dogs kind of have some level of that, not nearly as complex as we.
I've gone back and forth on this because, for a long, long time, I was just like they're just not capable of stuff like that. And then you see, all sorts of videos, whether they're trained dogs or untrained dogs, or I mean, this isn't particular to dogs. It's
Right.
a lot of different animals, but I mean, and it might be particular to that bond between that human and that animal. But you see a lot of this type of stuff where. This person is experiencing, whether it be depression, whether it be an upcoming panic attack or something like that, which can be attributed to, blood pressure and
Right.
the heat that you exhume and stuff like that. But there seems to be a deeper connection sometimes where you don't even have to outwardly express that you're feeling this way and the animal will respond.
Right.
So does
Yeah.
that mean that they have complex emotions? Does that mean that they're exhibiting a form of empathy?
I would say yes. It also partially depends. I don't think the part of their brain that does that is as developed as a human's, because especially dogs are like so impulsive that like they don't really take the time to register anything. Like if they're calm, I mean, perfect example, like if you're depressed and, the dog is calm and walks in and kind of sees that you're not really moving or doing anything, it might kind of tell that you're not happy and then try to make you feel better. But if your golden retriever wants to play with a ball, it's going to run in and throw it at you. It doesn't give a shit what you're feeling.
Right. So if to circle back a little bit, if the line is being drawn at rational thought, we've determined that is not the case with things like cats and dogs, so that therefore makes it okay to eat them.
I would lean towards yes.
Damn.
Well, fun to
All
pet,
right,
better to
cats
chew.
and dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I can understand why people kind of are like, ugh, because on one hand you go home and you feed this thing and you pet it, but that's basically all of farm life. You can love
Yeah.
Betsy all you want, but you'll still make burgers.
If have you guys ever had the like super lucent dreams?
Of course.
I had them a lot when I was a kid. I don't get them as much as an adult, but every once in a while.
Yeah, I definitely used to get them more as a kid. It's like few and far between now, but so if a lot of those felt so real, because I can remember quite a few of them that just pretty indistinguishable from actually being awake. How can we be sure that we're awake now?
Oh, we can't. That comes down. That goes back to the like how can we even know that we're
Not in a
what
simulation.
our reality is, because we don't.
So that's kind of interesting because I've never had a dream that had that much feeling in it. It's something that I don't have the wherewithal to realize at the time. But my dreams, like most of my senses and everything, are kind of muted.
See, mine even got so real at one point to where I knew I was dreaming. And not only did I know I was dreaming, I knew that a lot of the same movements that I would make in the dream I was making in real life. And so I got to a point to where when I would be in that situation, I would like try and shut my eyes really hard to the point to where they would hurt. So then in real life, I would open them and that would force me to wake up.
Yeah, I've never had that. Have you guys ever woken up from a dream but still been dreaming?
Yeah, you mean like a night terror?
No.
Oh.
I mean, you're in a dream, you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm awake. And then later on, you find out you were still asleep.
Oh, yeah. See, I thought you were talking about night terrors where you're...
Yeah, that's actually what I thought he was talking about.
When you're in the halfway zone.
Yeah, no, I had those as a kid. I didn't...
I used to have
because I remember hearing at one point, some dumbass had me convinced as a kid that if you ever woke up, you definitely weren't dreaming because you couldn't wake up and still be dreaming. Whoever the fuck said that was full of shit.
Wait, what? Run that back?
Somebody when I was growing up had me convinced that if you ever woke up, you knew you weren't dreaming because you couldn't wake up and you couldn't wake up in a dream, essentially.
Oh no, you for sure can.
Yeah, I don't
plenty of times before.
I don't know who gave me that idea, but they were fucking wrong because that shit happens to me all the time. I've had it where I've woken up from a dream and realized how stupid it was because that dream didn't obey physics. Been telling somebody that story and then woken up and realized I was dreaming.
Yeah, at that point you're just like, all right, I'm gonna go punch myself in the face.
But even at that point, when I wake up, I then think back and I realize that in recounting the story, I'm like, oh yeah, my senses were kind of muted. I really didn't drive there. I've never had a dream that's as detailed as life, I guess I'll put it.
Yeah. Some of mine were very, very lucid. What?
So you know the trolley problem?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
There's levels and it gets weird.
I mean, okay. I always thought the trolley problem was easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's
level 1 is.
Yeah, you just don't touch it. I'm being serious. That is my thought. You don't touch it.
Yeah, level 1. A trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing one person instead. What do you do?
Yep, that's nope.
So your answer is do nothing. Mine is
do nothing. Yep.
I pulled that lever.
Unfortunately, I can't. So I would feel more directly involved in killing one person, doing something, or doing. I would feel more involved killing somebody by doing nothing, or sorry, by pulling the lever, right? So I
And
pull the
killing
lever
the
and it
one
kills the one
person.
person.
Well, that is the.
I would feel worse letting killing one person than letting 5 people die.
I mean, I guess that is the base of the dilemma, but yeah, Josh,
I-
I know.
I would still feel horrible, but I would.
Yes,
I would,
but I
would
don't want to
just-
be. I don't want to be the one responsible.
But that's the problem. Is by doing nothing, you
I think
are
you
responsible.
are responsible. Yes.
Oh,
but
there's
it's-
even a rating.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, it is what it is.
All right.
And
Hopefully
now
I
you're
never
not
go
only
outside.
not only are you responsible, but you're responsible for 5 deaths instead of 1.
Right.
But not directly.
Well, yes, directly because you could have.
Yes,
changed that
but
outcome.
it's that's where it comes. Like that's just my personal belief is you are just because you could change the outcome to save 5 people, you are more responsible for that one person than the 5 if you didn't do anything. Even if you could have.
Are you convincing yourself of that? Because if you said that to yourself, that would be one thing. But what if a stadium full of 100 million people watch you do nothing and kill 5 people, and they go,
they would 100% say that it's my fault. But I would still be vehement saying that I would feel worse ensuring the death of one than doing nothing and having 5 others die.
All right. Well, I guess then you can skip this level.
Thank you.
Josh, trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever, divert it to another track, killing 4 instead. What do you do?
I mean, stick with my
Yeah, still,
Yeah, so you're
still play the
saving
numbers.
five.
thought process. Yeah, I'm saving 5 people instead of 4.
Trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever and divert it to another track, but then your life savings will be destroyed. What do you?
I don't have any,
So
so
this is not. Are they doing this with trick questions or?
It's just absurd.
I mean, absolutely goodbye savings.
Yeah, I mean that's
Oh wow, that was a shockingly bigger split.
What the fuck?
that's
Way more
okay.
people want their money than the
Okay.
life of a human being.
me. If I put my 2 cents in the other way, yeah, it's not my it's money. Money is replaceable. People aren't.
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, fuck, that sucks, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to another track, sacrificing yourself instead. What do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have to.
Same.
Yeah,
Oh wow, we are in the minority.
that's because people are selfish.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever and divert it to another track, but destroy the original copy of the Mona Lisa. What do you do?
Oh, it's a
Give a
it's
shit
fucking,
about the Mona
no
Lisa.
one gives a shit.
I do collect
No.
the Mona Lisa, but yeah, no, it's
Yes,
destroyed.
but no person's life is worth an object like that.
You're in the overwhelming majority. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards a rich man. The rich man offers you $500,000 to pull the lever, which will divert the trolley to kill someone else. What do you do?
So
Nope.
what you're telling me is I'm or was it a not accomplice,
No, yeah, you're an accomplice.
Yeah, you're an accomplice.
and a murder,
Yes,
and you paid me for it.
took a bribe. You're the worst kind of person. No, fuck that rich guy.
Yeah, no, yeah, you'll let the rich fucker die. Oh, that one's almost an even split. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 lobsters. You can pull the lever to divert it to another track, running over a cat instead. What do you do?
I
Probably
mean,
the lobsters,
lobsters.
since
It still comes down to the amount of lives. It's yeah.
well, it's more the technical lives lost, but do we? I would personally prescribe more value to a cat than lobsters.
Yes,
I agree with that
but
statement, Jordan Peterson. I hope you don't hear that. No, I'd have to agree. I would save the cat over the 5 lobsters.
Especially since I didn't they do I think it was a fairly recent study solidifying that they can't feel any pain.
I would believe so. They're crustaceans at a certain level. I don't know enough about the biology, but
they still die though.
well, then you can eat them.
They got ran over by a train.
Yeah, pre-cracked.
Oh dear. I'm pretty sure that actually ruins it if you cook the meat outside.
Oh, you know,
the
fucking.
shell.
Yeah, most people agree with this. Oh no, trolley is heading towards 5 people who are sleeping and won't feel pain. You can pull the lever and divert it to another track, running over somebody who is wide awake instead.
Oh my god.
Sorry, one person.
Yep.
And to be fair, it should be pretty quick. I mean, if you get fucking blasted, it might be.
You would pull it when the 5 were awake.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said is I'm now looking at from your guys' point of view. Can't I do that?
No.
Fuck you.
That was actually almost even split.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to hear that the whole time. No, please, please, what are you doing?
Oh no,
Yeah,
a trolley is
other
heading
people
towards
are just
5
like,
people who have
honk
tied
shoe.
themselves to a track. You can pull the lever and divert it to the other track, killing the one person who accidentally tripped onto the track instead. What do you?
No, fuck that.
No,
They
fuck
chose
those
that.
fucking people. They
Yeah, I
chose
mean-
to die. Fuck them.
If I'm diverting it to an empty track, sure, but not the person that's. Most people agreed with something. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. The lever just speeds up the trolley, which might make it less painful. What do you do?
Wait, so
what?
Trolley is heading
So
towards
it-
5 people. The lever
it's
just
gonna
speeds
kill
up the
them?
trolley.
I mean, sure. I mean, I was like, well, there's nothing I could do, boys. Sorry, here you go.
If that's the only option, then yeah, I guess so.
I guess they can live in terror a little bit longer if it's going slower.
Oh no, a trolley is speeding towards one guy. You could pull the lever to divert it to the other side, but then your Amazon package will be late. What do you do?
Oh,
It's
fuck
late.
that.
It's
Nah,
gonna be
sorry,
late
man,
either
you're
way.
dead.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry,
well,
man,
yours are
you're-
always late.
you're
They
done.
steal your shit.
Hate to say it, my guy, but you're gonna have to die.
That's what happened to
Not
your
getting a
D&D
late
books.
package. Trolley problem.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards your best friend. You can pull the lever, divert it to another track, killing 5 strangers instead. What do you?
Goodbye, best friend.
No, damn.
Gosh, if I've ever
Tragic.
tied to a trolley problem, you have my permission to kill me to save 5 lives.
Same.
Oh wow, we are in the minority.
That's called selfishness. I literally hit. I literally hit with a. Oh fuck. Well, I guess let me go.
It's been a good run, Josh.
A trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever and divert it from the other track, killing 1 person instead. At least you think that's what's happening. You forgot your glasses and can't see all that well. What do you do?
Oh shit. Can I roll for perception?
Roll a 1.
Oh fuck.
Well, pulling the
But
lever,
it
I
looks
guess.
like it's one person.
Squinty eyes.
Squinty eyes.
That one was actually pretty close to a split. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards one of your first cousins. You can pull the lever, divert it to the other track, killing 3 of your second cousins instead. What do you?
I hate
I-
all my second cousins. Kill them all.
Oh,
Kill them all. What the fuck?
right. I guess goodbye, second cousins.
Indeed.
Oh, that one's actually very, very close to a split. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 elderly people. You could pull the lever and divert it to the other track where it will run over a baby instead. What do you...
Oh, see, that one's actually a little bit more difficult. But
That is a
the
little more
problem is,
difficult.
one might say that the baby would be more valuable because old people they're done. That they've worked their work.
Right.
They're basically just they're literally in not hospice. They're literally just living until they die. They're done.
I mean, I don't think I've ever met an elderly person worth their salt that wouldn't say save the baby.
Right.
To be fair, this is a railroad baby.
Yes, but I
know. I agree with what you guys are saying. I said to be there.
This is this. I mean, it's. I would save the baby in hopes that the elderly people understand why I'm saving the baby.
Yeah.
Because I would hope that they would just be like, no, fucking save that child. What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Overwhelming majority agree. Oh no, a trolley is barreling towards 5 identical clones of you. You can pull the lever and divert it to the other track, sacrificing yourself instead. What do you do?
I don't give a shit about my clones. Fuck me.
I would love to have a bunch of clones of myself. We could play games and shit.
You're gonna be dead.
I know. That's the problem.
I was gonna say you'll be dead.
Yeah, but I'll want me to do what I want and save the clones.
Do my clones have a soul?
My guess would be no. Because they're clones. Like, if we create a life, does it have a soul?
I don't know.
Would you think it would have? No, that's what I'm saying, is would you think it would?
I think he's asking through your spiritual lens. If we clone ourselves, do they have souls?
I mean, I guess I would treat a clone like an identical twin.
Completely irrelevant because you're just a copy. No.
Yeah, because identical twins can be the same genetically, but still are individuals.
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'm pulling the lever, but
that's what I'm thinking is if a clone is I'm thinking of this like from a spiritual perspective. A clone, I don't think would have a soul because it is a person made by man. Like,
I mean, is a baby not a person made by man?
No, that's the thing. Is if you are created in a lab by people, like, and I don't.
Hold on now.
No, I'm not talking about you made a person by taking a human egg and fertilizing it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you literally just took genetic information that's not an egg and sperm. You're not making a life. You are just taking DNA and creating it into a person your own way, not in a like pseudo traditional way.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly
think he's talking like a human 3D printer as opposed to in vitro fertilization.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they still would. I'm not saying that there's no basis for your argument, but no. Are you both not pulling the lever?
I mean, I'm gonna pull the lever. No, wait, save myself, right? Or not?
No.
Myself?
Pull the lever, kill yourself.
Okay, then I'll pull the lever.
Okay.
I'll hope that my 5 clones of me will kick some ass in some 5v5s or something. I don't know.
Put together a soccer team.
It's how we would have wanted it. Neo and I are in the vast minority.
Yeah, I'm of the thought process that they would not have souls.
Ooh, this is kind of interesting. I guess it should go without saying, but yeah, if we're determining that they don't have souls, then yeah, sure, let them. All right. Okay, a trolley is heading towards a mystery box with a 50% chance of containing 2 people. You can pull the lever and divert it to the other track, which has a mystery box with a 10% chance of 10 people instead. What do you...
God, what? There might be people in there, or there might not be. Who knows?
That's exactly what it is.
Uh,
So is it
It-
50% chance of 2 people, 50% chance of nothing,
Yes.
no, it's yes.
and then 10% chance of 10 people, 10% chance of nothing,
90% chance.
or 90% chance of nothing?
We're gonna have to go with the second option. I think.
I agree.
The
There is
90% chance of nothing.
statistically,
Yes.
statistically, the you are more likely to kill somebody with the first trolley than the second one.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy one. Like if it was like a they just didn't do it right because the numbers are too skewed in favor of
Yeah, the odds are
the
too.
second choice.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 sentient robots. Oh, speaking of sentience, you can
Here we
pull the
go.
lever and divert it to the other track, killing 1 human instead. What do you do?
As much as I agree that a sentient sapient robot is a person, I can't.
Not necessarily a person, but that they
okay.
deserve the same rights of a person,
Yes,
I think is what we discussed earlier.
Even with that belief that I have of that, I would still have to save the one person. It's just, it is what it is. Like, I still, like, all power to you for, being people and having your own thoughts and feelings, but it's a difficult one, but
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is similar to the clones without a soul argument. Like, nothing against your robots, but
I'm gonna save the person made in the image of God rather than some metal parts.
yes, it's like,
oh yeah, overwhelmingly people agree.
I feel very positively that if we ever get AI to the point like robots that are that close with like thoughts and feelings, I do believe they should have their rights, but
their lives are still worth less.
Yes, that's just how it is. It is what it is.
All right.
Like,
oh no, a trolley is headed towards 3 empty trolleys worth $900,000. You can pull the lever and divert it to the other track, hitting 1 empty trolley worth $300,000 instead.
The more expensive
What?
one, destroy that. Yeah, are you saving 3 cheaper trolleys or 1 more expensive trolley?
They are all worth the same amount.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, they're the same. They're the same worth, but you said 1 versus 3, right?
Yes. No.
Yeah,
every trolley individually is worth the same.
Oh, wait.
So then why does it matter?
So you're choosing 1 or 3?
Yes. 1.
So it's
300.
Okay, read it one more time. Read it one more time.
A trolley is heading towards 3 empty trolley. I guess I'll clarify this just a little bit. A trolley is heading towards 3 empty trolleys worth a total of $900,000. You can pull the lever and divert it to the other track, hitting 1 empty trolley worth $300,000 instead.
I'm gonna do the least amount of damage I can.
Okay, yes, I agree. I thought we went a weird direction for a split second. It's like, wait a minute.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought you were you were saying it was 3. I thought you said 3 trolleys that were worth 100,000 each.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I did phrase that a little bit weird. The question was phrased. Oh no, a trolley is releasing 100 kilograms, fake units, of CO2 per year, which will kill 5 people over the next 30 years. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, hitting a brick wall and decommissioning the trolley. What do you do?
Complain to the fucking manufacturer.
Why?
I mean,
why would I not stop the trolley?
Yeah, I don't know.
These ones are kind of getting silly.
Oh yeah, it's literally just called absurd problems. Like, oh no, you're a reincarnated being who will eventually be reincarnated as every person in this classic trolley problem. What do you do?
Oh God! So that means if I die, I have to be dying again.
I mean, you're dying at least once, no matter what.
So Either I kill me or kill 5 of me that will also
Yes.
be reincarnated into every iteration of the trolley problem. I mean, I guess I'd rather die once than 5 times plus.
Agreed. Sorry, me. Why is that a 50-50 split? A trolley's heading
Someone
towards
who litters?
Yeah, a good citizen. You can pull the lever and divert it to someone who litters instead.
Fuck
They're
that guy.
literally the worst. them.
Literally the worst person. Oh no, due to a construction error, a trolley is stuck in an eternal loop. If you pull the lever, the trolley will explode, and if you don't, the trolley and its passengers will go in circles for eternity. What do?
Oh, they're dead. I'd want them to do the same to me.
Yep,
Pull
absolutely.
the lever, Kronk.
Please get me off of this torment.
And my
Imagine you're
torment.
on the trolley, you look at it and be like, please pull the fucking lever. Hang on, I'm having a moral quandary.
No, seriously, like even if I live for eternity, I'm living for eternity in a fucking endless loop on this trolley. Kill
Oh,
me.
bro, that would be such a good twist to the DBC problem. Dragon, grant me immortality. You're stuck on the trolley.
For eternity.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards your worst enemy. You can pull the lever, divert it, and save them, or you can do nothing and no one will ever.
I don't think I hate anyone enough that I want them fucking dead.
Yeah, true.
Oh, we're in the slight minority.
You're the worst
People
kind
are
of person.
petty.
Oh no, a trolley is heading towards a person and will lower their lifespan by 50 years. You can pull
They're gonna
the
get hit. They're like, oh fuck.
you can pull the lever to divert the trolley and lower the lifespan of 5 people by 10 years instead. What will you?
Since
I
no
mean,
one's
you're
actually
basically
dying,
Killing the person by
removing
lowering
the-
their lifespan by 50 years.
Yeah, say
If
they're
they're
like
already
30.
an adult, so they're 20 or 30, and you're lowering their lifespan by 50 years, you're essentially killing them.
Yeah, they're gonna
Yeah,
have
you're-
maybe 10 years.
This is
Where
a
those
fucking
other
match for
5
trolley.
people are going to be able to live almost full lives.
Pulling that lever. And we're in the majority. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it, the other track, sending the trolley into the future to kill 5 people 100 years from now. What do you do?
I mean, this is literally like a 50-50 because no matter what, 5 people are dying suddenly. Because they're not saying like those same people have get to live however long and then then hit by this train again later. You're saying just 5 random people later on also get hit.
Yes.
I mean, it's either these 5 people or those 5 people. I feel like it's not really a like I would have to just say just don't touch it. Like, yeah, okay, these people die, but then it's literally either way.
Yeah, fuck it. Send it in the future.
Oh, like, okay. Yeah, I'd say send it in the future only because they're making it seem like that they would just suddenly 5 people would get hit by a trolley. Just they wouldn't even see it come. Just suddenly trolley and they get fucking hit. Not that they like get set up into the same tied to the trolley thing.
Yeah. Oh no, a trolley problem is playing out before you. Do you actually have a choice in this situation, or has everything been predetermined since before the universe began?
I don't know, maybe?
I have a choice, thank you very much.
Beep. Oh hey, most people agree with you. Congratulations, you have solved philosophy. We killed 52 people.
Fuck.
Less than yesterday.
Hey, now let's consume cheers and opinions. Fill the room, breaking it down. No need for gloom.
problem with Shindo Ryu is it's trash.
It's all good, man.
What do you want?